for listening to Lone Star Community Radio. This program was broadcasted and recorded live from the LSCR studios in downtown Conroe, Texas. Lone Star Community Radio is supported by listeners like you. Donate and sponsor today. For more information on getting involved with Lone Star Community Radio, contact us at lscrstudios@gmail.com or visit us online at www.irlonestar.com.
You are listening to Lone Star Community Radio on 104.5 KCZW LP Conroe and 106.1 KZCC LP Conroe and worldwide on irlonestar.com.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to the Weekly Business Hour. This is Rick Schissler. I'm your host. I'm also a Silver Fox advisor and the founder of OneBestConsult.com. Glad you've taken the opportunity to listen in on us today. I think we've got a wonderful show lined up for you. And just reminding you, we are broadcasting live from the studios of Lone Star Community Radio, the community radio station for Montgomery County, Texas. All kinds of things going on Lone Star, and I encourage you, check it out, irlonestar.com. Go to irlonestar.com. Lots of talk, lots of conversation, lots of education, and lots of community. So check it out, Lone Star Community Radio. It's located here in Conroe, Texas. Studios are downtown on the first floor of City Hall. Conroe, one of the fastest growing cities in America. And I can swear for that, because business here in Conroe and Montgomery County is just unbelievable. I don't think the pandemic slowed us down that much, and we continue to blow and grow, as they would say. So the Weekly Business Hour is where Montgomery County and now businesses throughout the world come to talk and listen and pick up ideas through business news that we offer, ideas to improve your business and to be part of conversations that I believe, hopefully, can make a real difference in your business even today. I want to remind you that the show is being broadcast live on Facebook and also YouTube. So if you want to watch as well as listen, just check out YouTube, Facebook, the Weekly Business Hour page, and you can, again, watch as well as listen to our conversations today. And a reminder, if you have a question, you have a comment about the show, you have a question about your own business, just send me an email. Because, you know, we do the mailbag segment on the show, but beyond that, I love having conversations with people about their businesses. So just send it to me at that's the number 1, bestconsult@gmail.com. That's bestconsult@gmail.com. Well, let's get rolling. Let's get the conversation started. Today, we're very fortunate to have Mr. Frank Robinson in the studio. Frank is the downtown manager for the city of Conroe. And if you want any evidence of the growth of business here in Conroe, Montgomery County area, go downtown. Go downtown to Conroe, Texas, and you'll see growth happening all around you. Frank, thanks for taking time to join us.
Oh, Rick, thank you for inviting me today. You know, we're real proud to have this studio right here in our city hall here in downtown Conroe.
Yeah, the City Hall is really about community, and that's what this radio station, since it was founded, was about community, bringing all aspects, all people from all backgrounds and interests, and to come and talk and communicate, make people aware. You know, every day I'm amazed. I wake up and there's something in the county that I just didn't know existed, whether it be a service or an outstanding individual or opportunity. This is a great place to live, to work, and to grow a family.
We like to say it's a great place to live, work, play, and invest, as well as grow a family. And that's what we're seeing right now, is a lot of investment in our downtown.
Yeah, I want you to kind of, before we get there, because I'm excited to hear about the plans and what is obviously taking place if you just walk around for a few minutes. But tell our audience, so they get to know you a bit about your business background and what brought you to Conroe, Texas.
Sure. Well, Rick, I've been a city manager by trade for more than 30 years, public servant for over 40 years. Got my start as a police officer in Denton, Texas. Worked my way up through the ranks, wound up becoming a chief of police in the city of West University Place, and then, as my officer said one day, I crossed over to the dark side, city management. But that's been a great career for me. I retired. My last gig was in California. Now, you can take a Texan out of Texas. You just can't take the Texas out of a Texan. But we went out to California for a final job out there that lasted 9 years. I retired, came back home, and my wife looked at me one day and she said, "Honey, retirement's not working for you." And about that time, the city manager here in Conroe, Mr. Paul Vergadamo, man I've known for 25 years, called and said, "Frank, we need help. We're going to adopt a downtown development plan. We really want someone to help us get this thing up and running. Would you consider joining the city?" And here I am.
Well, that's a wonderful story, and what a wonderful background. I know I started my life and business career in West University, believe it or not.
Did you really?
So back in 74, I bought a home there, and the folks I worked for at that time had their offices in West U. So we've sort of maybe crossed paths at some point.
Well, maybe. I guess I'm probably best known for the 14 years I spent as the president and general manager for the Woodlands Township, which formerly its name was the Town Center Improvement District of Montgomery County. So it's a special district. It still is a special district today. However, legislators allowed us to change the name of that and do some things to prepare it someday to become a city. I think we all know they've made one attempt at that. Unfortunately for them, it did not pass. But they still remain a very active and successful special purpose district. But that's where I spent most of my time before I was recruited and went out to California. So that downtown you see in the Woodlands and the Waterway and all those high-rise office buildings and shopping malls and Market Street and all that, my thumbprints are all over that stuff. And I think that probably helped prepare me long-term to come here and understand how to do economic development in downtowns and make it successful.
You know, what a wonderful background. I mean, the Woodlands, Woodlands Township, whatever the names happen to be, the Woodlands is, in my opinion, a world-class development, and it's a city within itself, and have lots of friends and family that live there, and it's unusual for Texas, or was when it was originally built, and now is more and more of that. So, boy, what a preparation, what a background. Well, let's switch gears. Let's get down to the conversation really that we're here for today.
Sure.
And it's downtown Conroe. You mentioned that when you spoke to Paul that you had they had done I call it a strategic plan, but it was development of downtown, which I've seen the plan, very exciting plan, and I assume very doable. So tell us about that plan and what that means to us who are people living in Montgomery County and Conroe, Texas.
Well, the plan is a comprehensive, actually, plan about how to take the downtown, expand it, bring in the economic development elements that you need to have to make your downtown grow, how to redevelop your residential communities in your downtown to support a downtown, how to, and with recommendations on what to do with infrastructure, improvements on the infrastructure. There's so much low-hanging fruit in that plan, I like to say, that it was really a matter of pick and choose, do your budgets, do your capital expenditures forecasted over the next 5 years, and begin implementation of that plan. Unlike a lot of plans that cities might adopt, and I've seen this happen in my years, they wind up on a shelf sometimes. Well, this one did not. The first thing the city council did right after the plan was finished was they adopted the plan in 2019. They hired me in 2020. Of course, we had a pandemic, but that actually gave us some time to go through the elements of that plan and figure out where to start. So here we are today with a great set of results. For example, all the power lines are buried now. If you go down 105, all those utility poles and everything are gone. Everything's underground. New sidewalks have gone into place. All the light standards have changed. The more antique-looking light fixtures that you see, and they're going to take that theme all the way across the railroad tracks, and it'll go all the way out to 10th Street eventually with new sidewalks as well. we're going to bury all the power lines in the alleyways. We're going to see those alleyways transformed into pedestrian experiences. And in the meantime, our economic development successes have been pretty profound. You've seen it. If you've been downtown, you have more businesses coming into downtown and a lot more activity, more people walking around. The business change has gone from just a little activity on a Saturday to filling up a Sunday, and backtracking, we're now seeing activity on Wednesdays.
It's amazing because the radio station, I guess, was founded, this station, Lone Star Community Radio, about roughly almost 10 years ago. And we're located over on Main, and so we could literally watch it go by the window. And when I started my show, this will be our 8th year, it was amazing to me. And it was still then kind of a sleepy little downtown area with very little activity, not a whole lot of remodeling, refurbishing.
Right.
But boy, it went into high gear, especially since that plan was developed, which again, I read that plan as a working plan, not a bunch of flowers and things. Maybe that's what leads to being put on the shelf. But it was a plan that was understandable for the average person,
Yes.
and like myself, and I think it gives an excellent guideline. I'm a businessman. Let's do a hypothetical, if you don't mind.
Sure.
And I've got a business out 105, or I've got a bit even in the Woodlands, right, which is a very attractive place in itself to do business. What would cause me to want to come downtown and either open a second location or maybe even move my business?
Probably the first thing you would recognize if you do any of your homework is that there's a destination event occurring right now. There's a renaissance occurring in downtown, and that excitement is being driven by the marketing programming that we're doing, the natural spurring of interest that occurs when you get one investor comes in and he begins to do something, and others look around and they just go, wait a minute, what's going on there? And so they want to get into it. And then it just leads to a domino, if you will, domino effect of more investors coming in. You would be recognizing that there's a lot of investment going into downtown. Why? So then you would begin looking at, well, what kind of demographic is coming into downtown? And you'd begin to realize it's not outsiders, it's locals. Locals are discovering their downtown, and they're finding that there's plenty of good things to do. And that then means, all right, I own a restaurant, or I own a bike shop, or I own whatever it is. I think I could do well if I was in downtown. And we're going to see it. You're going to see it. You're going to see the executive suites come in. You already have the new restaurant tours coming in. Moco Food Halls just opened up. And that's really an experiment. You think about it. You have these restaurateurs that are going in there, and they're new businesses, they're startups. They develop, they get strong. Where do they go next? They move out into maybe a standalone or lease space somewhere, and someone else comes in behind them. So it's almost like an incubator. You've got that situation going on. You have new entertainment values coming in. When I say values, I mean like higher end experiences such as the Hideaway. And your listeners may not even know what the Hideaway is. Well, I'm not going to tell you what it is. You're going to have to come down to 202 Main and sneak through to the back, and you'll find the Hideaway. Or maybe you'd like to go to the Vault, the Speakeasy. But you're not just going to be able to walk into the Speakeasy. You have to figure out how to get into it, because there's a secret passage. And once you figure it out, you're going to go, duh. But when you walk inside, you're going to hear all this great entertainment from the 20s. And the bar is phenomenal, and the wait staff are all wearing suspenders and white shirts. It's a time from the past. Most of our young people have never experienced it, but when they walk in there, they don't want to leave. They're having such a good time. You're seeing the expansion of Pacific Yard House, which has really become well known as not only a great place to eat, but also for live entertainment. And of course, there's the Corner Pub, and now you have Dragon Bowl. Have you been to the Dragon Bowl?
I've not been in it, but I've had the food. It's catered in.
Do you know that we had a family drive down 8 hours from Mississippi because they found Dragon Bowl on TikTok and wanted to try it out? They drove down 8 hours, they come in, they have a great experience, they've discovered Conroe, they decide to spend the night. That's the kind of thing that if you have a business and you're doing your homework, you're going to say, wait a minute, I might be missing out on something if I'm not taking a hard look at bringing a business into downtown. And we try to make it as easy as we can for you to bring that business into downtown. The challenge you're going to have right now is finding space. Because as spaces open up in downtown, or especially around the square and all that, there's a waiting line for people trying to get in those spaces.
Which is a great thing to hear. There's no doubt about it because, again, I used to come here when I was practicing law, and I did work in the courthouse, and I think you had one, maybe two places to have lunch, that kind of thing. So it's just amazing to me. The whole thing is just amazing. Well, believe it or not, we've run out our first segment, and we need to take a commercial break. Ladies and gentlemen, hope you'll stay with us. We're going to continue this conversation and talk more about downtown Conroe and what is in it for you. So please stay with us, and we'll be right back with you.
Don't forget to download the Lone Star Community Radio app from your Google Play or Apple Store. Bring Montgomery County's community radio with you anywhere with your smartphone or tablet. If you are in the Conroe area, tune in on FM. That's Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1. If you are on the computer, bookmark irlonestar.com as your internet radio station. A Lone Star Community Radio. Broadcasting 24/7 from the heart of downtown Conroe, Texas.
We have the safest food supply in the world. Strict laws and regulations restrict the usage of hormones, antibiotics, and pesticides within our food supply. Production agriculture practices and technologies such as the use of GMOs, which is not any more or less risky than conventional crop production, has allowed American farmers to produce more food on less acres in environmentally sound ways. Find out more online at pathtotheplate.tamu.edu. We are Texas A&M AgriLife Extension, helping Texans make lives better.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to the Weekly Business Hour. And remember, if you've got a question, an idea, a comment about the show, or got a question you would like somebody to perhaps provide you a little bit of advice on in your own business, send me an email. Just drop me an email. Address again, bestconsult@gmail.com. Well, Frank Robinson's our guest today. He's the general manager of downtown Conroe, which if you listen to the first segment, you can hardly keep up, Frank. There's so much, and it's happening so fast, which I touched on. It's amazing. One of the things that you reminded me of during the break was that there is new investment coming into downtown,
right.
And buildings are either being repurposed or in some cases torn down and larger buildings built. It's kind of a combination of that because I love to see the old buildings stick around, but I also understand that we all have a life expectancy or a lifetime and they need to make hard choices. So tell us about some of that new investment.
Well, to kind of follow up when I made the comment earlier about how it's competitive now to get into downtown for space around the square, and some of that has now led to these investors coming in and recognizing that, hey, there's buildings there that I can repurpose. Or in the case of, we had one building which was really not a historical building. It was built in the 70s, late 70s. That was the old Republic Title building. It's been torn down. The investor is going to build something that looks more like downtown. Looks like it fits downtown with stone and brick. But it looks like it's going to be a 4-story building with retail around the base of the building, office suites with the executive suite concept in mind. And there's good reason for that. And here again, if you're a business and you want to come into downtown, now you might have some new space that you can take advantage of. And maybe you don't have to make a commitment on a long-term basis. We also have the old furniture store. The old Homestead Furniture Store has been purchased. That's going to be redeveloped, broken up into smaller retail spaces. There may be a second story added to that, and bringing in some residential lofts. Very interesting concept that's coming into downtowns now, all over the country. And we're seeing quite a bit of that here in Texas. And then you have a big vacant lot that sits at the corner of Pacific and Simonton. And this lot abuts the new redeveloped alleyway that will be finished next year. Looks like we're going to see a parking garage, perhaps, with retail wrapped around the base of that, maybe some loft apartments. This is the exciting stuff that you're beginning to see, and it will create more opportunity for businesses to come into downtown as well.
You know, to me, one of the exciting pieces of the plan, the redevelopment plan, but also what you're touching on, some of the real things that are coming about, is the insertion of residential into downtown.
Yeah.
How important is that to the development of a downtown area like this?
Well, it's very important. Your residential element takes care of two markets. You and I, the seniors in the world, we really may not be interested in mowing yards anymore and all that maintenance of a single family home, but we would like the comfort and convenience of a nice loft apartment or townhouse close to everything, within walking distance of our grocery stores or the dining, the restaurant experiences, maybe the dry cleaner, and so on and so forth. And that's one of the driving factors that, what makes downtowns vibrant is that residential element. You also have the younger crowd. We have our young people here today who market studies show are not really your single family home buyers, not at that young age. Now, maybe later when they start families, but early on, they don't want all that maintenance responsibility. They just want a safe place to live and be close to all the experiences. And that's what we're seeing. That's why there's an interest now in doing the residential piece of it. And we have a residential incentive development program in the downtown Conroe area that was adopted by the council back in 2019. You can get $15,000 per door. We call it per door. Single family home, duplexes, apartments, townhouses. If you're willing to invest and the appraised values meet a certain threshold, you can actually get a tax rebate for building those projects.
Well, it's interesting to me because I think that personally, and my wife and I at one point in our life considered moving to downtown Houston because we were living in the Houston area, and in regards to a job opportunity I was looking at, and we didn't end up doing it, but it is always in the back of my mind. Like you say, you give up all the challenges of owning a home and so on and so forth. But one thing I really love about downtown Conroe, and it would probably amaze people if they've not taken the time to look at downtown, is how many restaurants and venues and other places to do. I mean, nighttime, you've got so many choices in such a small area, relatively speaking.
Right.
It's amazing. I guess the restaurants really were the ones, and I guess the bars or whatever that led all of this, because they have really moved into the downtown area.
Well, that's a great segue. Actually, you didn't know you were doing this, but when you said led the way, one person that was really responsible, and we call him the godfather of downtown, is Rodney Poole. Now, you've probably met Rodney.
Oh, I know Rodney.
Rodney, just an amazing guy he's 81 years old and still driving the train, and just full of energy all the time. Tomorrow, here at City Hall at 1:30, the City Council will be presenting a proclamation recognizing him because he was honored by the Texas Downtown Association 2 weeks ago at their annual conference. He was named Texas Downtowner. Very distinguished award. And big surprise to him. He had no idea that this was going to happen. So we're very, very proud of Rodney and how he has driven that energy constantly, and he's been responsible for a lot of this interest in investing in downtown. And there are more opportunities coming, by the way.
Well, and who can forget the Corner Pub, right? It's
Right,
one
exactly.
of the venues that he owns, invested in.
It started the live music scene in downtown, which now just about every one of our major entertainment venues is live music, especially on the weekends.
And like you say, in such a compact area, it's not like a big city where it's all spread out, right? And I like downtown because I feel safe in downtown.
Good.
I mean, when I walk around, whether it's in the evening or during the day, it's not like going to a big city at all. Or
Not at all.
You know, you've got a wonderful. It just feels good, family environment, no doubt about it. Well, let me ask you this: what are some of the challenges that you're working on that you see in further implementation? In other words, continuing to put the plan in place. What are some of the challenges that are out in front of you for that?
The balancing act. You know, we bring the business in, we bring the people in. Where do they park? Now, I'm going to tell you, we did a count. We have 2,247 parking spaces in downtown. People still complain. Most of the reason for that is because it's not convenient, right? And it's not convenient in any downtown. I don't care where you go, whether you go to Houston or you go to Elgin, Texas, you're going to have parking challenges. So we are going to implement a weekend shuttle system. We're starting it out. It's a pilot project, but I believe it's going to be very successful. And it's going to run between those public parking areas. And we're going to have 6 stops, and it's going to take 8 minutes. We've already done the test runs on it in the heaviest traffic. You'll be able to get on free and get off wherever you want to. And it'll drop off. The 2 main drop-offs in downtown will be at the corner of Main Street and Metcalf, and at the corner of Main Street and Simonton, the First Baptist Church parking lot. There'll be a drop-off at the county, a drop-off and pickup at the county public parking garage, which is over here on San Jacinto and Simonton. It'll go on down to the Honor Cafe. You'll have a pickup drop-off down there. You'll come back and you'll have a juror parking lot. I think everybody knows where the juror parking lot is. Most people try to avoid the juror parking lot, right? But you're going to have that juror parking lot, and then that's going to swing back around and take you up to, again, Main Street at Metcalf. So you're going to have this loop that you'll be able to use. So it doesn't matter where you can park further away now from the central hub of downtown, but you'll be able to get on a shuttle very quickly and get to where you want to go.
You know, it's amazing. You mentioned like the juror parking lot. I mean, what is that? A block, maybe 2 blocks if you park at the far end of it.
Yeah.
To Metcalf and you know, just where a lot of activity is. So, but I hear what you're saying. It's we live in a world that convenience is just a major issue. It seems to even be growing further.
Right. We have that. That's one of our major challenges. Another one of our major challenges is the infrastructure itself. Because we're bringing in new business and we're adding to bigger buildings and such, we're going to have to do a complete redoing of our water lines, sewer lines, and stormwater runoff lines. So that's all part of a major capital campaign, a capital project campaign that the engineering department of the city already has in. It's being programmed into the budgets. So over the next 3 years, you're going to see some road work and some alley work and what have you, but it's necessary to get those bigger trunk lines in place to be able to handle the new structures that will be added onto the water line, sewer line systems.
You know, it's funny about those things, and you know this in your work as a city manager. Most people think of all that type of work, infrastructures, and aggravation, not realizing that it's really the future.
It is.
In most cases.
Yes,
I mean, that's what
yes.
you're talking about. But it does create inconvenience of road work and so on and so forth.
But we'll get through it. Everybody, you'll get through it. It'll be about as painless as we can make it, because we need you to be downtown. We need you to come. We don't want to disrupt your happiness.
You mean you're not going to do what they did at Intercontinental
No.
Airport over the last year or two?
No.
I got stuck in that one night. I couldn't believe it. I was so
I know what you mean.
disappointed in the city of Houston.
It took me almost 2 hours to get out of there after
I
picking
bet.
up a
Had
family
that
member.
happen.
Yeah,
Happened to me.
crazy.
But I made it recently in the last couple of weeks, and it was clear sailing.
Much better now?
More or less.
Good.
So,
Good.
yeah. But wow. Disappointed. That airport's one of the great assets for this area. Well, the city is attracting businesses. Obviously, as we mentioned, the restaurant. I've read from time to time, and I've had people talk to me, such as Rodney Poole, is that it's been difficult to get other kinds of businesses. It's been a challenge to find space the lawyers take up a lot of space, right? Because the courthouse,
Right.
that's natural
Yeah.
in any town that has a courthouse. So how are you dealing with that challenge as far as bringing, call it a variety of retail, and how necessary is that for the downtown area to be really vibrant?
Well, first of all, let me just say that the lawyers are an important part of our downtown, and if you really talk to the retailers, they don't want to see that go away. They understand that these people bring lots of clients into downtown. They eat, they shop, they go to the bars sometimes after trial, and it's an important part of the economy. What we are seeing, though, is we're seeing more of an interest, it seems, on the part of our attorneys to upgrade. Perhaps, they need more space. They've gotten more successful. They need bigger, better space, or they need space that has multi-level opportunities for officing. And most of our buildings do not really accommodate the ADA, the handicap, in a way that they should for what an attorney's needs would be. So we're seeing that business begin to shift and looking for opportunities to relocate. Well, now you have developers wanting to come in and build some multi-level office buildings in downtown to provide that space. So we're going to see a change over time. A sea of change will occur. We'll witness more of the retail spaces in the old historic buildings, or spaces, that is, in the old historic buildings will begin to open up, making more room for retail. And I'll give you a great example. In the Gentry building, about a year and a half ago, I think it was, we had a forest services business. It was not a law firm, but it was a forest services business. It was not a retail business. Move out. Great space. I talked to the building owner. I said, would you be open to having a retail operation in there? And they said, absolutely. Well, I have since had same communications with other building owners, and we have another space that's just opened up. A law firm moved out of that. The owner wants to bring a retail because he sees what's happening with the other retail.
Right.
But in the first one, you know what moved in there?
No.
Foss Brewery. Now you have a
Oh,
downtown
okay.
microbrewery.
Sure.
That's the kind of thing that we're seeing. Those are the varieties that are going to come. You have wineries now. You have the microbreweries. You still have the centerpiece, the corner pub, but now you have the new restaurants and the incubator system of restaurants. We're going to see probably development where the Owen Theater is. That parking lot across from the Owen Theater is prime for a new parking garage with retail wrapped around that, or space. When I say retail, it's mixed use.
Right.
It could be a grocery store. It could be a dry cleaner. But it will be a downtown experience that will have a retail flavor. Probably not likely to have you're not going to see another CPA firm perhaps in there, or a law firm. I think you're going to see more of the kinds of things the residential community is looking for, because as they bring the residential in, the residential supports those types of businesses. So it's a balancing act.
Yeah, every day it's a balancing act. So that's very interesting. Well, Frank, I deeply appreciate you taking time to visit with us today, update the business community who are our listeners about what's happening in downtown. And I personally would encourage anyone who's listening to this broadcast that has a business, check out downtown for an expansion or perhaps a relocation. Because like you say, there's lots and lots of activity, lots and lots of growth coming our way. If folks want to contact you to get more information, what's the best way for them to do that?
I think the best way for them, if they want to call me, just simply call City Hall, 936-522-3000. Just ask for me, and they'll put you right through to my phone. Or you can send me an email at frobinson, that's ROBINSON, @cityofconroe.org.
Well, again, I encourage anyone who's listening to this or our podcast to check out Downtown Conroe if you haven't done it, but check it out with an eye towards business, not just having a good time. There's plenty of that available, but check it out for business, perhaps your business. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to remind you as we go to our bottom of the hour break that a podcast of today's show will be available in a couple days. You can check it out. Again, go to Facebook, go to YouTube, all the social media sites. Just look for the Weekly Business Hour page. If you want to listen to what we've concluded with or what we're going to talk about, and as always, I encourage you, if you can, share it with someone else that's in business. I think we have a good opportunity for people really to learn something. And along that vein, what's coming up in the second half of the show today? Well, we're going to go to the mailbag. We had an inquiry from Cynthia and Jim, and their question was, we still get confused on how to make our website work for our business. Can you give us any tips on what we should be doing in general to get more out of our site? So I, who am a non-technical kind of person, generally speaking, but I did some research and came up with some very interesting information. So we're going to offer back to you and Cynthia and Jim some ideas. And I'll close out today's show on one Best Consult tip of the week entitled, What is the Next Big Event and What Preparation Should I Do Now? So talking about what's going to happen next and to prepare your business, not just in an emergency mode, but prepare it day in and day out. It's called resiliency. You've got to be able to face these challenges and keep it running. Perhaps even, as some really sharp people do, they expand, they grow, they strengthen their business in the face of some of these challenges. So stay with us. We're going to go through these topics, and we'll be right back with you.
Our talk shows and music shows are looking for sponsors. Want to expand your brand awareness? Reach the hyperlocal audience in Montgomery County? Lone Star Community Radio sponsorships accomplish this. Want to see our stats and rates? Check out irlonestar.com/sponsor for more information. Or call in and leave us a message at 936-647-3776 with your questions. Get seen on TV, YouTube, and heard on our podcast, FM, and internet radio. Support your local radio station with Lone Star Community Radio.
Vell Institute, a 501c3 nonprofit, began in 2014 with a mission to strengthen the future of veterans through leadership and entrepreneurship training. We've invested over 1,400 hours of training in our veterans while connecting them with community entrepreneurs and leaders. Our mission is to continue investing in our veterans who have given so much for our country. Please join us in our mission by visiting vellinstitute.org. That's VELinstitute.org.
Lone Star Community Radio is looking for those who are interested in hosting their own talk show, with monthly and weekly slots available in Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1, and on irlonestar.com. Start your own podcast, create your first YouTube channel, and be on TV. Contact Lone Star Community Radio online at irlonestar.com or call the station message line at 936-647-3776 to take your first step into the radio world.
Listen in Mondays at noon to hear Conroe news from local nonprofits, businesses, upcoming events, Conroe Park events, news stories, and information that matters to you with your host, Margie Taylor of Taylorized PR. For more information about being a guest, visit irlonestar.com/Conroe Culture.
Does volunteering at a nonprofit horse sanctuary sound wonderful? Or are you a veteran or a veteran spouse and think trying a peer group session through a local Horses and Heroes equine program might be worth trying? Henry's Home Horse and Human Sanctuary, located in Grand Central Park by appointment only, is home to a growing number of rescued and donated horses. Visit our website at henryshomehorsesanctuary.org or check out our Facebook at Henry's Home Horse and Human Sanctuary for more information.
Lone Star Community Radio is looking for those who are interested in hosting their own talk show, with monthly and weekly slots available on Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1, and on irlonestar.com. Start your own podcast, create your first YouTube channel, and be on TV. Contact Lone Star Community Radio online at irlonestar.com or call the station message line at 936-647-3776.
Hey y'all, it's DJ Mike from Dan Simon, Texas. Join me Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. as I count down the top 10 Texas Red Dirt songs that are packing the dance floor. I'll be featuring local artists and the story behind the hits, shows in the area, as well as new songs that make you want to dance. It's Dance Time in Texas with DJ Mike on Lone Star Community Radio, 104.5 KCZW and 106.1 KZCC, Conroe, Texas, or online, irlonestar.com.
Hey, tune in to the Bridge Podcast TX Tuesdays at 11 a.m., where we are connecting commerce with community, interviewing business owners and leaders in the community, allowing the audience to peek behind the curtain of what inspires, motivates, drives these individuals to have meaningful, positive impact in this community. For more information about the show, log into irlonestar.com/TBPTX.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to the Weekly Business Hour. I'm your host, Rick Schissler. And first of all, I want to thank you again for listening to today's program. Hope you got a chance to listen to our conversation with Frank Robinson, who's the general manager of the downtown district here in Conroe. Lots of interesting things going on, and Frank has done a wonderful job from my perspective in developing downtown. It is definitely on a fast track. It's growing, and good things seem to be happening everywhere. So thank you, Frank Robinson, and everyone involved in the growth of our downtown Conroe area. Before we start, I want to mention to you that your business could sponsor today's program. The Weekly Business Hour has sponsorships as part of Lone Star Community Radio's nonprofit status. So make a donation, have a sponsorship. If you want some information about it, it's real simple. Just drop me an email. Again, bestconsult@gmail.com. I'll send you some information. It's relatively painless to get on board and be a sponsor. We'd love to have you sponsor the program. We go out to this community. It's by far our largest listenership is here in Montgomery County, and then second Harris County. So we cover potentially the market that you're trying to sell in your business to. So please consider being a sponsor for the Weekly Business Hour. Well, let's jump in the mailbag. Cynthia and Jim wrote, and they're from this area. We still get confused on how to make our website work for our business. Can you give us some tips on what we should be doing in general, and I like that word general, to get more from our site? First thing I'd say to people is see if you can find a professional. Yes, there are some good people out there. I know when the websites first came around 15, 20 years ago, there were a lot of people that were inexperienced in trying to build websites and maintain them, and there was a lot of pain that small businesses particularly felt in trying to get a good website up for their business. And that's changed. There are quality companies out there like Tiny Giant is out there in our area, fine people. They run it like a business and they produce results. So first thing I would suggest, and that's just my suggestion, is to hire a professional to maintain your site and keep it up to date and to post changes that you might have. But back to your situation, as far as the site itself, there's a handful of things that a website today should do. First of all, it needs to have a promise right there on the first page to solve a problem or problems. In other words, this is why we exist. We are here in our business, your business. We're here to help you solve a problem to folks who are reading it, that are looking for the service or products that you offer. So I think that is a very important piece of advice and a good one. Make sure it has call to actions. In other words, challenge the reader of the website to reach out back to you and to connect with you so you can begin a process of bringing your services and products and making a sale. So make sure you have a call to action. In other words, don't just have a benign billboard, if you will, and it doesn't cause the reader to connect with you. You want them to connect with you. And it doesn't mean they're going to order today, and they may do that. Maybe you've got something very strong like that, and it calls for just click on this and order one today. That's great. But make sure you have call to actions information, opportunities, and there are a lot of different approaches to this, a lot of tools available to do that. Also, you need to back up the first one with who are you currently getting results for. Now, this is where you see people say, well, I use Joe's and they're the best in town, right? Those things are important. And if you look at the better websites, and when I say better, the ones that appeal to you as a user, a consumer, or a business buyer, that you would respond to, you're always going to find, typically in that first glance, an opportunity to get some feedback from someone, or typically a 2, 3, 4, 5 or more. I don't know that many is necessary, but at least 3 or 4 people who, a short quote about their experience, a picture, a quote, and maybe a first name. Most folks don't want to have their contact information, there, but maybe so. That's better yet. So make sure you show who you are already successfully serving with your business. Make sure you put your core offerings up there. Don't put so much text that people can't read it. But what is it that you offer? You're a plumber. What do? Do you clean out drains? Do you do new construction, remodeling? What exactly do you do? And you can use bullet points for this. And you can always put a link and click through to another page that gives more detailed information about each of those services or offerings. But the core of what you do needs to be typically on that first page as well. Make sure that you show or have at least a tab for your team so people can check out who works for you. Pictures are great here, and background of the individual, short bios on your key people. That is very important to me when I shop for services, particularly in my business. I want to kind of get a sense, hey, those people look like they got their head on their shoulders. And maybe they don't, but it looks that way, and that keeps my interest involved. Also use video, some short videos, and you can even do them with your phone today if you take some care and spend a little bit of time. But video clips, short, 30 seconds, 15 seconds, a minute, and it could be testimonials from people. It could be somebody showing how your service works or what your product looks like, or it could be a lot of things, but people will look at short video clips, and it's a must today to have those throughout your website. Finally, make sure you put your contact information out there. People want to know how to contact you. So be sure you give them options, whether it be a click-through, they got to fill out a form to contact you. Give them also a phone number if they're in a hurry, they want to call. Put it out there. I get the idea of the contact sheet. You want information about them, and that's wonderful. But put some other alternatives. Maybe even they click a button and it connects them to you, or someone that's answering that phone for you that you've engaged as a third party. Make it easy and obvious on how to contact you. Well, Cynthia and Jim, I hope I've answered your question. There's a lot that goes into a website, but it's really not rocket science, as I love to say. It's not that complicated. It's not that complex. I'm not talking about the actual building of the site. That's a whole different question. And as I said earlier, one I recommend people seek professional help. But the idea of how it goes together, how your story's told, how you reach people, how you get those people to reach you when they're ready to buy. That's what it's all about. And that is up to you, the owner of the business, the manager of the business, to make those decisions and make sure some of those elements that I mentioned, all of them preferably, are there on your website. We're going to take our final break of the day. It's going to be short. And when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the tip of the week. And this is going to be about, okay, next catastrophe, next big event's coming. Is your business ready? So please stay with us, and we'll be right back.
Don't miss Lone Star Community Radio on TV and YouTube. Our talk show and music shows are featured on Our City TV, Suddenlink Channel 12, and have their own YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe to keep up with posted shows and comment on them below the video.
You are listening to the Weekly Business Hour, and this is Rick Schissler. I'm your host of today's program. This is the final segment of the program, and we primarily talk about our tip of the week. But before we get there, I want to remind you again, and I've said it throughout the program today, and I really encourage you, if you've got a question, if something came up on the show, you want to contact someone that was here, like Frank Robinson, send me an email. If you got a comment about the show or criticism, let us know. We're always trying to adjust where we can reach people and be more effective in the presentations we make. And most importantly, as you just heard in our recent mailbag segment, you got a business issue. It may or may not be included in our mailbag segment, but you will get a response from me as far as your business issue and give you some ideas, perhaps some resources that'll help give you the answer that you need in your business today. Well, One Best Consult tip of the week. I was thinking about recently, we've been through all of the pandemic and this and that and the lockdowns, and then a hurricane season has come and gone. But the question that stuck in my mind, what is the next big event and what preparation should I do now, today? Because we don't know what it's going to be. That's one of the premises of this. You don't know what it might be. There's no telling. We have a winter freeze in parts of the country. But what I'm talking about is building resiliency in your business. It is so critical. Disruptions are going to happen to all of us. They could be just in your business. A key employee gets sick and can't work for a long period of time. Inability to hire people, that's kind of a stretch out thing that many people are looking at. So your growth is stymied. But there are always ways, if you dig deep enough or take enough time or engage consultant advisors, mentors to help you figure out what might work in the alternative. This is all there, and to me, it's every day. So the question is, disruptions are going to happen. Some of them may be self-made, but a lot of them we have no control over. They're like pandemics. They're like hurricanes. They're like this or that. And they just come. They come and sweep over most, if not all, businesses in your area. So you got to be aware of that, and you've got to learn and have a process or a method or way to approach how to manage those situations. And as I mentioned earlier in the show today, some people are so good at this that they turn it into an opportunity. They're able to get in there and continue to grow. Like in a CEO roundtable I work with, they had 20+% growth among 5 of the businesses each year over the last 2 years, even in the face of the pandemic. Different businesses, different industries, but they figured out ways to grow, and there were opportunities there, and they seized them. So first, remember 3 things that I believe as you approach the issue. Technology in and of itself is not a strategy. First thing a lot of folks say, well, I'll just upgrade this, or I'll buy a new point of sale, or I can get a new software program, or I get, this all related to technology. It's important to do all those things. It's important to reduce your labor input if you can maintain quality, because labor is a major challenge, whether it's in 2022, 2015, or 2025. It's always going to be a major challenge, particularly for us in small business, to find the right people to fill the right slot. It's the major challenge, in my opinion, in running a successful business. Remember, everything doesn't have to change. That's my second point. But the moving parts of your business obviously need to synchronize. So don't be fearful that making some of these changes and building your resiliency will cause everything to get out of control. And last but not least, and it's always true, communications is the key implementation requirement. Communicating, particularly in-house, to the people that work for you. Yes, you need to communicate with clients, customers, and vendors, but communications, key thing there to me is start early and often with your employees. When you're implementing change and you're building a more resilient operation, the ability to communicate is so important because you build a stronger workforce. And if you build that into a process, almost like a habit, then your business is going to be a lot better off. And finally, develop your sense of where the marketing is headed. I see business people, they see what's happened in the recent elections or what happened with the hurricane that hit the area where they are, and they have a sense of what the market is. I don't think they're gurus necessarily. I think they're people who've just thought through and understand business and put some effort in to try to see what's going on in the market. Where is it going for me? I sell ping pong balls. What's it look like? Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank Frank Robinson for joining us this week. And again, I encourage you, if you've not recently visited downtown Conroe, then do so, particularly during this holiday season. And until next week, as always, stay engaged and always keep your focus on what counts in your business. Thanks.